Hi there. It's July the 24th and we continue our progress through the book of 2nd Chronicles, and today we're in chapters 11, 12 and 13. So we have come to the stage in the story of Israel and Judah where they have been split apart from each other because of the vanity of Rehoboam, who has refused to mollify the stance that he's taking and wants to rule the people harshly. And so 10 of the tribes have gone off with Jeroboam, and formed the northern state of Israel, and Rehoboam is left with just Judah and Benjamin. And now what happens is that Rehoboam thinks to recover the lost tribes, and so he gets together 180,000 troops, and he's about to set off, and he's about to battle with Jeroboam and get back the land that he's lost and get back the people that he's lost. But a prophet whose name is Shemaiah, which means the Lord has heard, Shemaiah comes and he says to Rehoboam, no, don't go out to battle against Israel, because this is actually the Lord's doing. The Lord has intended you to lose this part of the kingdom because of your vanity, and going out to battle will not make anything better. And so actually Rehoboam listens to Shemaiah and he backs off and he doesn't go out to battle against Israel. One thing we read though in chapter 11 is that the priests and the Levites, the Kohanim and the Levites from the northern part, from the part that's split off, obviously are now separated from the house of God and from their service in Jerusalem. And so most of them come from Israel, from the northern state, and they make their homes in Judah and Benjamin. So there's a tremendous influx of the priestly orders of the priestly tribe to continue the service of the house of God. Then in chapter 12 we read of Rehoboam going away from God. So often this happens in the story of the kings. They forsake the ways of God, they forsake the covenant of God. And Rehoboam does this, and because he's done it, the Lord allows Shishak, the king of Egypt, to come against them. And Shishak captures cities in the south of the country, south of Judah, and then he comes towards Jerusalem. But then Rehoboam and his people repent, and they call out to God, and they ask God for deliverance, and they ask God for salvation. And Shemaiah comes, the prophet who's spoken to Rehoboam earlier. Shemaiah comes and he says, actually, God has heard your cry. Shishak will not come against you. You will be delivered. And so there is actually a deliverance. So Rehoboam establishes the kingdom of Judah and Benjamin, and he also establishes his sons as rulers in the various cities that he's established, and he has designated one of his sons, Abijah, who will be the next king. So at the end of chapter 12, Rehoboam dies and Abijah takes on the kingdom. Then in chapter 13 we see Abijah coming to the throne, and Jeroboam is still king in Israel in the north. And so this time Abijah decides he's going to do what his father didn't do, and he's going to go out against Jeroboam. He's going to go out and he's going to recapture the lands of Israel. He's going to visit punishment on Jeroboam for his having rebelled against Rehoboam. And this time he's not stopped. This time he actually goes out, and there's this statement, there's this actually that the numbers are really not even, because we read in the chronicler has recorded for us that Judah's troops were 400,000, Israel's troops were 800,000, and so there was a real mismatch. But Abijah stands up and he basically declares that the Lord is with Judah, because they have followed the ways of the Lord and they continue to worship at the house of God, whereas Jeroboam has set up the golden calf, he set up the idols at Bethel and Dan, and therefore they have forsaken the Lord, and therefore the Lord is no longer with the northern part of the kingdom, he's only with the southern kingdom. And so Abijah takes his troops out into battle, and there's a tremendous ambush. There's a pincer movement as the troops of Israel go up before and behind. They surround the troops of Judah. But in a deliverance of God, Judah is able to overcome, and they slay 500,000, according to the chronicler, of Israel's troops. And Jeroboam is diminished, and he's no longer able to stand against Judah. And this outcome is seen as a vindication of Judah. We need to remember that the chronicler is writing from very much a priestly point of view, from the Judah point of view. When we look at the Kings, the Book of Kings, actually the Book of Kings has the name of Abijah as Aviyam. They have a slightly different version of this name in Kings, and so we're getting a slightly different view of this time and this period. But the chronicler is very much seeing it from Judah's point of view, and particularly from the point of view of the Levites and the priestly point of view, and the maintaining of the house of God. Conflict is never good. Battle is never good. But when there is challenge, God steps in and God speaks in justice and judgment. And in this situation, we see Judah who has been faithful, and certainly even though there's been unfaithfulness, they've repented. God continues his faithfulness to the place where he has placed his name. We just need to continually walk in faithfulness with God and resist putting up any idols in our lives which are going to take his place. Let's be wholehearted in following him today. Have a very good July 24th.